Are you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
Welcome to The Outlet, a Phoenix Suns podcast brought to you by NBA Live 19. The game is never finished. In NBA Live 19, the game never finishes either, as they continue to update rosters, gear, and much more every week. No matter if you're playing in the streets or the league, the game never stops evolving. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Outlet. This week, we're lucky enough to hear from the one and only J crossover, Jamal Crawford. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is just everyone loves you. I don't think I have met a single person, player, coaches, media, anybody who has had a negative thing to say about you. And I feel like that speaks a lot to your character and who you are as a person, especially after 19 years, that's the reputation you have. Where did that kind of come from? Is that like how you were raised, or how do you stay so humble after this long?
For me, I think just treating people the way I wanted to be treated. My grandmothers, my dad, my mom, they all kind of instilled that in me. So I've been the same with everybody from day one. So for me, it's not like it's an act. It's not like it's, like I'm just being me. So for me, it's easy. Like this is how I live. So it's a way of life for me.
You don't feel like it's hard, like sometimes being around other people who you see maybe change throughout their careers as they get a little bit
It's not hard for me.
or anything?
It's not hard for me, honestly. Sometimes you're a little surprised, especially if you knew somebody when they were younger. But other than that, my sister told me a long time ago, when you come into a lot of fame or money or whatever it might be, you become a bigger version of what you already were. So if you were nice and you get a lot of money, you'll be even more generous, right? And if you were not so nice and you get a lot of money, you'll be even more mean to people. So for me, that kind of stuck with me.
All right.
Yeah.
Not that your career is over by any means.
Yeah.
It's coming towards the later part of it. But knowing that that's your reputation within this league, how impressed are you, or how proud are you of just that legacy that you're going to leave behind?
Yeah, I think that's an unbelievable thing. And I think for people even more so off the court, I think that's a great legacy. I think I've turned out to be somebody my kids can be proud of, my community could be proud of, my friends, my family, my teammates. I think everybody who I pretty much met over this journey can be proud to know that, I'm okay. I'm a decent guy.
So 19 years in, do you have a goal? Is there like a number you're going for, like 20 years or play until you're 40? Or are you just kind of feeling it out as you go?
Just feeling it out, because if you would have asked me when I started, if I'd have played this long, I probably would have said no. Like, who does? So
not many.
No, right?
That's
So
for sure.
10 years is like a long career. So I'm always having two careers in one. So for me, why put a cap on it? Just enjoy it. And when I don't love it anymore, which I don't see happening, and if I'm not at a high level or at the level I want to be at, then it's probably time. But for me, I'm enjoying it, and I feel like I'm still learning, which is interesting.
Really?
And pretty cool. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're still learning?
Just nuances of the game. I don't think you ever truly. I've only seen one person master it in my day, and that's Michael Jordan. So other than that, Bill Russell, obviously, and guys like that, but I wasn't alive at the time. But like that, I've seen my own eyes. Michael Jordan mastered the game of basketball. So unless you're mastered it, you either build or destroy. So I'm just trying to get better.
So what does it feel like? Okay, so I have to tell you my version of this, because everybody I've talked to, whether it's Josh Jackson or any of the younger guys on the team, they're like, yeah, when I heard Jamal was coming to the Suns, I was so excited. When I was growing up, I was watch him play, or his YouTube videos, all this kind of stuff. I used to play video games in college.
All
and
right.
anytime we played basketball, I played with the Clippers. And every time he would come into the game for me, it was like,
make some shots.
Lights out, game's over.
There you
I'm
go.
always
Thank
going
you.
to beat
See,
my
I didn't
opponent.
know that. Thank you.
So but how does that feel that every single person, it seems like, that I've talked to about you or that you meet has a story like that?
Yeah, that's crazy, to be honest with you. It's interesting because, it's actually me. Like, if that makes sense, like I live it, like
Right.
I'm actually going through this. Sometimes you become reflective after it's all over with, but I'm very humbled by it, to be honest with you, because, I remember growing up playing video games, NBA Live 95, and I was like, if I'm ever on a video game, I'm gonna play all the time. I've never played I've had one time, actually.
Have you? Did you
In
win?
China, I had
Okay.
to, and I was really good.
Okay.
I was like, dang, this was in China last year. It was for EA Sports event, and they made all of us kind of play, and I played, and I was like, oh, okay. But NBA Live 95, that was like the game on Super Nintendo. I played it all the time, but I stopped playing, I think, in 96, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to play for real now, and just go outside and work on my game,
Call
and
it a
do
day.
whatever. Yeah.
NBA Live 19 is our sponsor.
Shout out to NBA Live.
And the makers of NBA Live, EA Sports, recreated your game winner from Milwaukee
I
as
saw
a video
that.
game. Did you?
I saw that on the Sun's Instagram.
Yeah. It was amazing.
I think Ellie showed me, matter of fact, 'cause we
Yes.
sit next to each other.
They're so cool how they're able to recreate those
It's like
games.
real life, like literally.
I mean, is it weird for you to kind of see yourself in a video game, like in a video game format, but something you actually did?
Yeah, that is weird. That's really weird. And going back maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, I heard at one time, because I have a special move or a couple special moves, but I heard I was the only one on the game they allowed to do the move.
Oh, really?
Which was pretty cool. I was like, oh, that's
so
cool. Yeah,
cool.
that's cool. That's cool.
It should be like that. It's your move.
Yeah, I'm the only one that
it's
has done it. So
exclusive.
yeah. But yeah,
come on.
it's amazing how they bring like real life to the games. Yeah.
So I went and tried to get some information on it because I was so curious, like how long does it take this? How did they make it? Did they create a graphic and then, kind of like a cartoon? But I found out that they actually it's somebody's job to sit there and play the game over and over and over and
Until
over
they get
again
the perfect-
until they get the perfect.
That's why the game is so realistic.
Score. Yeah, and it's not just you. It's
Everybody.
you. It's the celebration with Mikkel after.
That's
it's where the
unbelievable.
opposing players are on the floor,
That's
making sure they're
crazy.
all in a perfect spot. And now I don't know if it's a full playing the game for 8 hours every day
Still,
until they get
just
it,
to
but
get
it took
that,
them
yeah.
4 days to recreate that shot. For
Really?
you. Yeah.
Oh, you did some research.
I did a
High
lot of
five
research for this
Yeah.
one because I thought it was so interesting.
That is interesting.
And I thought it was kind of cool just to see how far it's kind of come, like the world of social media, and then also just how realistic video games are these days.
It looks like everybody, the mannerisms, the tattoos, like everything. So that's
down
cool.
to the smallest
Everything.
little thing.
Yeah.
When your kids play video games, do they play as you if they're
Yeah,
playing
they do.
basketball?
They do.
Do they?
Always,
Aw.
which is cool.
How does that make you feel?
That's pretty cool. Those are like the cool moments because now obviously I've been on video games for a long time, but to see them like take pride in that and like I'm dad, and that's cool. I was actually gonna tweet out a picture today of my son that he took from I think one of the first games I played here. Where he's in front of me. It's a picture of me, and he has my jersey on. It's pretty cool. I think I'm gonna tweet that out today. It's pretty cool.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
I'll give it a like and a retweet.
All right, there you go. There you go.
One of the things I saw on Twitter that I had to ask you about was Bill Russell was talking about you after that same game winner we were talking about in Milwaukee, and said it's been a pleasure to get to know you over the last year. So what's your relationship with him like? And give me some scoops on Bill because I've never met him, but it would be awesome too.
So he DM'd me. First off, I saw he was following me. I'm like, this is crazy. Bill Russell's following me. This is crazy. Like, he's beyond royalty, right? So he's past iconic. I don't even know the word for him. He's like an American treasure.
Yes.
Right? So he's like, he follows me. I'm like, wow. So then, like a few days later, I had a DM message from him. And he's like, hey, I want to come watch you play today. And I showed my wife, and she's like, that's not Bill. You're being catfished.
Yeah.
That's not Bill
Right,
Russell.
that
No
cannot be the
way.
real Bill.
So I go back and forth. We exchange numbers on there. I call him. We talk. I set up the security, everything when he comes. So he walks in the Pro-Am. The Pro-Am's always usually pretty packed. So he walks in the Pro-Am. The game literally stops. Even the guys on the court, they stop, stand ovation. The crowd, like, it's like crazy, stand ovation. I know he's coming. I'm like, okay, I'm nervous to play. Right, it's my league. I'm nervous to play in front. I'm like, how am I going to play today? Because when he played, it was more on passing and like. So I'm like, okay. So I broke the assist record that day.
Okay.
Then he came. So I'm like, I'm gonna pass the whole day. So he'll be happy. So I passed. I had 30 assists. I broke the assist record when he was there.
30 assists?
Yeah. And then
Yeah, you took that one real serious.
real serious. I was so nervous. And then Kyrie called me this summer, and we're close. And he was like, I'm gonna come stay in Seattle for a while and work out with you. We'll keep it low for the summer. I'm like, all right, cool. So one of those, after Mr. Russell came to the Pro-Am, a couple days later, I'm like, hey, low key, Kyrie's in town. You should come watch us work out. And so he came to that, and that was cool. And nobody would have ever known, but he put the picture on his Twitter. So it has still been low key, but out of all people,
yeah,
he's more social media savvy than we all are. So
I know.
He put it out
He's
there.
such a fun follow on Twitter. I love it. It's my favorite. So what was that like? I mean, have you guys been able to stay in touch a little bit more
sure.
since
He came
then?
and saw me in LA, and then we played the Lakers, and we just talk, and I pick his brain about so much information.
It's bigger than basketball,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Like it goes even beyond
it's
just
way
the game.
deeper than that. Oh yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I pick his brain about things he had to go through and stories and just wisdom.
I bet you he has the best stories.
There's nothing better.
And he seems like he'd be the kind of person who, when he tells you a story, it's like, the kid at the fireplace
There's
is just like wide-eyed, just
There's
staring.
a picture. I don't think I've ever tweeted. I have it. It's a picture. It's a little blurry, but you can see it. It's Mr. Russell and Kyrie and myself are just there like that at a campfire listening to him tell you stories. So it's cool.
You've got to tweet that picture out.
I'm like,
I mean, that's just kind of like nostalgic.
I have so many
though.
pictures I could tweet out that are really good, but yeah.
So what's one of your favorite memories or moments so far in your career?
Wow, I've had so many. I think the draft, because nothing afterwards was possible without going through that, right?
Yeah.
So I think I always had that dream of putting on the hat and shaking David Stern's hand, and so that was really, really cool. And I'll never forget, I was actually wearing Chicago Bulls gear that day, and I got drafted by the Bulls.
Nice.
Well, I got drafted and then traded to the Bulls. Sorry,
Right.
I'm getting a little sick, but yeah. So for me, I think that's probably the coolest moment.
What was that? What was the difference between the draft then and how it is now? Because it's like such a huge event now. Families are there.
Yeah.
You get all dressed up to the nines.
Right.
It's kind of like an award show.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's kind of like that. It's more of an award show now. Mm-hmm. Before it's like, wow, we waited our whole lives to kind of feel this moment. So for me, I was excited because the site would move from year to year. Now I think it's just in New York, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was just fun times for sure.
Yeah. Were your parents there with you? Or
they were there.
you
My friends
watching?
were there. Yeah. My family was there.
Awesome.
Everybody. Yeah. We're
Very
in Minnesota, cold Minnesota.
Speaking of just the differences
Excuse me.
in the league and how things have changed, one of the biggest things is social media. Mm-hmm. So when you started, social media wasn't a thing at all. And now it's basically the thing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So how have you seen that change basketball in general almost, and then just players, how they kind of represent themselves nowadays or get their information?
So for example, on a different side of it, I remember back then, like say you were misquoted or, you would have to wait until the next day to see the beat writer to kind of clear it up. Mm-hmm. Now you can go to social media, talk to 10,000 people, 20,000, however many people you have, 5,000 people.
in your case.
Yeah, but you could talk to thousands of people at one time at the touch of a button. Mm-hmm. And it's your voice, it's what you want to project, what you want to say, and I think that's priceless. And I see that being around forever, to be honest with you. You can hold your own press conference, basically.
Right.
Look what Kanye did yesterday,
exactly.
right?
You don't really need anybody else
the media,
to tell
right.
your story. You can tell it yourself.
You can
if
tell
you want
exactly
to.
how you want to tell it. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of want to stick around now. So.
No, you'll always be good. You're good. You're good. You're
what
good.
about on like the negative side of it? Is there a negative to how much social media has become involved in the sport?
I think so for a couple of different reasons. I think on the flip side, people are always trying to break a story. They're trying to be first with whatever to get hits or retweets or whatever to get their name out there. I don't really like that part of it. The second part, I think, to take a second before you hit send, like, okay, am I sure I want this to go out? Because even if you delete it or whatever, it's not coming back.
Right.
So I always try to be as positive as possible with my actual account, but and just thoughts I may have, but I always try to keep positive because there's so many people you may not ever meet that are, inspired by you or look up to you and kind of hold on to those words.
Yeah, one of the things that I see you tweet fairly often, and you've been doing it for a while, is another day, another opportunity. Where did that come from, and why is that one kind of stuck with you for so long?
Because I feel like no matter what happened the day before, how bad it was, I think the fact that you're breathing, you're up, it's another day, you have another opportunity to be better than you were yesterday. And I think that's something that, can resonate every single day, no matter, if it's good game, bad game, something in life, something that has nothing to do with sports. It could be in school, or whatever it was, an assignment you may have not done the best job on, but, you may have another one the next day. So another opportunity.
All right, so I need to get in your mind a little bit.
All
Because
right.
you're like a unicorn when it comes to professional athletes, and that's not a jab at anybody else.
No.
You just seem to be very special in that area.
Oh, thank you so much.
What is it away from TV and away from basketball, what are you doing? Are you reading all the time?
I read a lot.
You watch movies? Like, what are some of your favorite books to read or topics?
I read about everything. I like knowledge. Like, I have a thirst for knowledge. I like current events, obviously, to see what's going on in the world. But I just like to inform myself on different topics, on different things. And I just try to have the right viewpoint, as far as, like, I don't want to get caught up in the world of just I'm a professional athlete and that's that. Like, I want to be well-rounded. I want to know what's going on out there, because something that's important to somebody else may be important to you after you read about it or learn about it or hear about it. So for me, I just like to always read and just educate myself.
So what are some of your favorites? Are you usually on, like, Twitter getting your news from different outlets?
Yeah, it seems like Twitter's the fastest.
Like?
Yeah, but it may be Forbes, it may be CNN, it may be the Dalai Lama, it may be anybody. Like, it's so many different viewpoints and so many different things. And some things will resonate with you and some things weren't. But that's, I think, the good thing about Twitter. You can skip over what's not for you and you can read what you think is.
How much do you enjoy your Twitter? Just interacting with the fans.
Yeah, I
you
love
do Q&As quite often, too.
Yeah, I started Q&A. It was just weird because I see more athletes do it now.
Right.
I think I got Twitter in, like, 2011.
Okay, so you were pretty quick on it.
I was pretty quick, but I was late for my friends. They were telling me to get on it for years. I'm like, no. So since then, I started doing Q&As. Yeah, and it was, like, really, really cool because some people I may never meet in person. So I got a chance to kind of meet them informally or indirectly and answer questions. And I think, like, retweets and likes are like the new autographs, right? So, or pictures.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, so it's cool to kind of pop in on different people.
Yeah, because it's always fun to see somebody screenshot that so-and-so liked
like
my tweet,
it's almost like a new autograph or a new
me,
picture, right? So, yeah.
It's like you can still have that forever
it's
as long as
cool.
your account's there, or you have a screenshot of it and you hang on to that. So I'm sure that definitely sits well with a lot of your fans out there.
For sure.
One thing you did tweet during a Q&A back in October, somebody asked you about Devin. And you said, he's like that. We all know his work on the court, but off the court, real student of the game, which is somewhat lost. Yes. Really humble and can tell he was raised right.
Yes.
So what is he doing off the court that gives you that?
He's always trying to improve, whether it be taking care of his body, whether it be watching film, whether it be, I know if there was a game the night before, I can go talk to Book about it and he's watched it. And we can talk about specific plays that happened second quarter, fourth quarter, whatever. I know he's watched it. So he's like a real student.
And this is games across the NBA.
Across the NBA.
Not just games that you guys have
played.
No,
across the NBA. Okay. And I think in this generation it's lost because, like, it's still an art form to it, right? So you have to study your craft. You have to really be into it and really want to get better and not just say, hey, I got a fame or this amount of money and that's it, I'm fine. Like, it's truly like the love of the game, and he has that. And I think that's one of the things that makes him special.
Is that something that sets you aside from good to one of the greats?
I believe so. I can't think of one of the greats who didn't study or take their craft seriously. If you talk to them, I've had conversations with so many of them, from Michael Jordan to Magic to Isaiah to Kevin Garnett to Iverson to Gary Payton to Kobe to all these different people, and it's all the same things. And I always say success leaves clues. Like, it's a reason why this happened. It wasn't just luck. It was like preparation, the work ethic. It was like the film. There's so many man hours that went behind the scenes, so many people that helped along the way that kind of helped push this person.
Is that something that can be learned, or do you think that's just in you from the beginning?
Both. I think it's in you from the beginning, and some people get it earlier than others. But I think, like, I wasn't always a big film buff and, watching stuff. But as I started to progress in my career, I was like, started to see different things. And once you go to the playoffs, it's all about film and adjustments and things of that nature. So it's very, very important.
All right, so let's talk about the Suns a little bit.
Okay.
You've got a pretty young team.
Yes.
And you've got a lot of advice that you can share with them. The first thing is just kind of, how have you managed to maintain this longevity in your career and be so healthy?
Yeah, going back to what I just said, staying in love with the game. I really believe that. For me, I don't take time off in the summer. Everybody kind of has different viewpoints about that, but for me, I feel like if you work here, obviously, but let's say you took a job in New York for 9 months and your home's here, and then you leave and you come back here for those 9 months. You try to turn on the car, turn on the lights. They may pop. The car may not start because it hasn't been used. So for me, I just keep the body going. It may not be as intense every single day, but I'm doing something to keep the body going. So I think that kind of speaks to the health part of it. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of those things. So I don't put bad things in my body. I'm always doing something to try to improve my body, whether it be stretching, foam rolling, massage, cold tub, hot tub, Epsom salt baths, whatever it might be. I'm always for it. And then, God, I think you can do all those things and still get hurt, So for me, I'm just blessed in that regard. And then, like I said, stay in love with the game. There's so many different things that you can do. You can go to movies. You can go to so many different fields. And I encourage that if that's what you're into, you should be well-rounded. But for me, I know that basketball, at the end of the day, got me in position to be able to do those things. So I just have never forgotten that. And stay in love with the game. And thank God it's worked out for me.
Okay, so what are some of the other pieces of advice you've been able to share with some of these younger guys on the team?
Being a professional, and having 2 ears and 1 mouth so you can listen twice as much as you talk. You can get that information, not just from me, but it could be from the strength and conditioning coach. It could be from Nelly in the trainer room, our coaches, because everybody wants to see each other succeed, and nobody has all the I don't have all the answers. I'm still learning, so we can all learn together. But if I know something you may not know, you may know something I don't know in a different regard. So let's share that information. Let's try to uplift each other.
So let's go down the line of our rookies. I want you to kind of talk
Tell
about them.
Okay.
Individually, kind of who they are as a person, what you've seen from them as a player, and even like behind the scenes a little bit.
Okay.
So let's start with Mikel.
Winner. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when I think about him. He's someone that you want to have in a young culture because he is what winning looks like. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to be the first in the gym, last to leave. He's going to ask questions. He's going to be professional. He's going to take care of his body. He's going to get his extra shots up. So for the younger guys that are coming in, he's somebody you want in your culture. He can also fit in with a winning team, a veteran team, because he would do the dirty work. He'll play defense. He'll knock down threes. He'll guard whoever. He'll be low maintenance, and you want guys like that in your team. So he's good either way.
That's like the most positive thing you could say about Mikel. I'm sure when he listens to this, he's going to be like, oh, shoot, Jamal said that about me.
I'm a big fan of his. And if I was a GM, I would definitely want him in my program either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about DeAndre?
Superstar. He's going to be a superstar. He really is. I think he'll be one of the faces of the league for years to come. I see Embiid and him being like the 2 bigs that can kind of take over the league. He's so unselfish. He's one of the best passing bigs I've ever seen. At first, when he first did, I'm like, okay, he may be one of the best passing bigs I've seen. Now, the more I see him and the more consistent he does it, I'm like, oh, he's one of the best passing bigs. He's so unselfish. Like, he has no agenda besides winning.
Really?
And he really listens and he takes heed to what you say. So I'm a big DeAndre fan, and he'll be a superstar for years.
What do you think is the next step in his just growth and development, maybe for the second half of the season?
Yeah.
What do you kind of
being
want to see
consistent?
from him?
I think that's what kind of separates players is consistency. But if you look at it, I think we've already played the same amount of games that he did all last year. So for him, he may hit a little wall, but that's on us to kind of help him through it on and off the court.
What are some of those things that you can do for a younger guy to kind of not just physically but mentally, the grind?
Yeah, I think mentally, sometimes guys may need a mental break. Not instead of always talking about basketball with him, we may talk about music. Hey, let's go to the movies. Hey, let's go eat. Just different things to kind of break up the monotony, to kind of recharge him, even if it's just for that day, to kind of recharge him when he gets back on the court. He has that energy.
All right, so let's go to Ellie. He's such a sweetheart.
He is. He is so funny. He's someone I always tell. He's so hard on himself. He's his hardest critic. And I'm like, Ellie, even the greats have bad games. He thinks he's never supposed to have a bad game. I'm like, no, Ellie, you're going to have a bunch of bad games. Look at Steph Curry or Durant or LeBron. I don't care who you are, Michael Jordan. You're going to have bad games. So, once I kind of told him that and settled him down, he was like, okay, I can be all right and have bad games and still be a good player. I'm like, yeah, you can't take over the world in a day, but for him, he's such a hard worker. He's so fast. He's very, very talented. And once he figures it out and is not so hard on himself, I think you'll see true growth with him.
That's probably got to be tough, especially in the situation that him and D'Anthony are in, being rookie point guards in this team, needing that leader on the floor from that point guard position.
Yeah, and, when you're younger, you try to establish yourself as well. He has a whole country behind him like, hey, can you play in the NBA? So you have that pressure. And, Like I want to prove I belong, so. Yeah, but that's my guy. I sit next to him on the plane.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's my guy.
Do you guys play cards?
No. We just talk music, talk
Just
basketball, chat. Yeah.
Very cool.
I don't play cards. So.
No?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
What about D'Anthony?
A lot more talented than I thought, to be honest with you. I didn't see much of him because I think, he went through whatever he went through in school. Mm-hmm. But he's very athletic. He plays hard, has a very high IQ for the game. He really does. And he's a guy that you want on your team as well. He's going to pick up. He's going to foul a lot. And he's not scared. He's not scared or timid to shoot the ball. He's very aggressive, and I think we need that. And I think his future is very, very bright, for sure. Funny guy, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's funny.
He is
all our
funny.
rookies are funny, which is good.
They all get along so well,
Oh,
too.
they all
They're
enjoy
like
each
just
other. Yeah.
like four little peas in a pod.
Yeah, they are. But we all enjoy them, and we have their backs. They're good.
Very cool. So let's talk about the chemistry of this team.
Okay.
And how it's kind of growing and how you're helping that process along.
Well, I would like to think I helped somewhat, but it's not just me at all. I think Ryan. I think Book, obviously. I think Josh. I think everybody plays a part. I think with leadership, it's never just one voice, because at some point, that's when people start hearing the message and kind of tune that voice out. So I never want to just over talk. I want to talk when I truly have something to say or if I truly want a message across. But the good thing is I still see their eyes are very attentive when I speak. So I'm like, okay, still good. I'm not doing too much talking. But I think, if you care about somebody off the court, you'll run through a wall for them on the court. You really will. So, you can yell at a person in the heat of the battle, and it's not like, hey, why are you yelling at me? It's like, okay, you saw something. It's better for our team. I get it. So when you have those relationships and that chemistry off the court, chemistry is underrated. I think that's something you can't track, or it's a stat. So we're still working towards it, but I think it's getting better.
What are some of the things you guys have been able to do to kind of help move that process along?
Dinners, movies, things of that nature, just communicating, having good conversations, things of that nature. Even if you see somebody, we may have a conversation with 8 people, somebody new walks in, inviting him in the conversation, asking him a question just to get him going and make him feel like he's not the new kid in school,
right.
With Juwan or with Emo. So, yeah, I think just every little bit helps. Mm-hmm. It really does, yeah.
Okay, so I want to I heard this on a podcast that you did over the summer.
Okay.
19 coaches in 19 years. How hard has that been?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that cannot be easy.
To be honest with you, that's what I'm most proud about along those lines, because imagine you playing right in high school, and let's say your freshman year, you're really good. You have this one coach. They're like, hey, I want you to be a scorer, Lindsay. The next coach, you have a sophomore, you're like, hey, I don't want you to score so much. I want you to be a passer. The next coach, your junior, is like, you know what? I want you to come off the bench. You're like, okay, I was just a starter to you. Then your senior, like, hey, you know what? We got to get these young guys going, or young women going. So we want you to just be the leader and take a leadership. So that's 4 different roles in 4 years.
Right.
Because every coach sees you differently, and how they use you is different. So for me, I think that's what I'm most proud about, that I've been able to have the career I've had with having 19 different coaches, because they all see you differently.
Right.
And to adjust and still, you may see a guy in one system, he looks great, he goes to another system, he doesn't look the same. So imagine that 19 times. Like, what? So, yeah, that's what I'm most proud of.
Just looking for a little stability maybe every once in a while.
Yeah.
What has allowed you to be able to adjust and be successful under 19 different coaches?
I think that's one of my gifts, is to be able to adjust on the fly, or adjust, or try to make the best, try to make lemonades out of lemons, to be honest with you. Like, this situation wasn't ideal from the standpoint that I didn't get a training camp. I didn't get a preseason. I signed the day before the season. So you're coming in not only trying to play against the best players in the world, you're trying to learn a new coach, a new system, new teammates. Now I'm a scorer. I've been a scorer my career, but we need some point guards. So I'm like, okay, now I got to steal that back so I can pass more. So I'm doing all this on the fly.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and you're separate from your family. It's the first time my family hasn't been here, so I'm here by myself. So, like, all these different elements. Oh, you're in a hotel for 3 weeks because you don't have a place to stay yet. Oh, like all these different things are going on. You're trying to compartmentalize everything, but you're trying to do the best you can do. So, yeah, there's so many different factors that people don't think about.
Yeah, and I don't think that gets enough credit.
Yeah.
Like, people think that you can come into a team and automatically everyone's best friends.
Yeah,
like
no.
You picked up
It's
like
not
you've
how
known
it
each other
works.
forever.
Right. It's not how it
And
works.
it's no different than any other situation in the real world. You know, if you have a group of friends and somebody new is coming in, it takes a while to
For sure.
feel comfortable and
For
to
sure.
trust them with just small things. This is trusting them with your whole career almost.
And then you still have to perform.
Right.
Like at a high level. And then if you don't, oh, he's not the same. Oh, he's not. So you got to deal with all that on social media or wherever. Yeah. So it's just so much that goes into it.
How have you dealt with that? Because I feel like this has been going on for a little while with you. And it's kind of like, okay, when are we just going to stop?
Yeah, I laugh at it.
Because clearly we've been wrong for a while.
So with me,
and by we, I mean them.
No, I know what you mean. I get it from the standpoint that it's been very few people who have gone this long and had performed at a high level, right? There's been very few people to keep going. So at some point, it has to happen, right? But
maybe.
For me, right?
Maybe
for
not.
me, okay, so when I won my second Sixth Man of the Year, I was 34. I was the oldest player to ever win the award, 2014. I went back and won it in 2016, and I broke my own record. So if I listened to all that, then I wouldn't be where I am now, right? So I've won 2 of the last 4 Sixth Mans, even with, oh, he's getting older. Oh, he's not the same.
He's slowing down.
Yeah, he's slowing down.
Blah,
I'm like,
blah,
okay.
blah.
I laugh at it, to be honest with you.
Does it kind of add a little fuel to the fire? Maybe give you a little chip on your shoulder?
A little bit, but I was the one before where it's like, okay, I'm trying to prove this person wrong, but you can't live your life like that.
Yeah.
You do the best you can do and keep it moving. But for me, what I learned over time is everybody's not going to love you. Focus on the people that do. And from there, the ones that don't, I mean, you obviously try to prove that they're wrong. The ones that do, prove that they're right for believing in you.
Is that easier said than done sometimes?
Yeah, but I'm at a point where I'm at peace with that, so I'm good.
It just comes
until
with
I see somebody talk a little too reckless, and then I'll cut the head off the snake. I'll jump out there and say something to that one person, and then the rest will go back and hide. So.
All right, let's go back to the 19 coaches in 19 years, because Devin has also had 4 coaches in his 4 years. Yeah. So what are some of the pieces of advice you can share with him or just help him along that path? Obviously, I'm sure we're hoping for a little more stability now.
Yeah, for sure.
With Igor here.
Yeah.
But just kind of going through that, especially younger
control what you
part
can
of
control.
Your career.
Yeah, control what you can control, because that part of it, different coaches, different teammates, you can't really control that part, but you can control your energy, your effort, your leadership, how you treat people. Those things, no matter who comes in the door, you treat them like family. You want the best for them. You try to help them succeed, and that's the best you can do.
What are some of the things in Phoenix that are kind of becoming your go-to spots, or do you have any favorite restaurants?
Yeah, I like Blanco's.
Okay.
It's in, you know where that is at? Yeah, it's in Biltmore area, I believe. Yeah, so that's cool. I'm still learning some things, but the simple things, to be honest with you, I like just driving. I was at the mall yesterday, so just different things. Yeah.
It's a perfect time to take a drive with all the Christmas
lights
up, too.
It is, for sure.
All right, so kind of wrapping up a little bit with you. Who's the best player you've ever faced that we don't know about? Maybe somebody who didn't make it to the league, or somebody just a street ball game.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I know
a guy that
I'll
go back because you guys all pretty much know the NBA guys I played against. But somebody who didn't make the NBA that you would know is Doug Rand.
Okay.
And he was like the man in Washington. He was like the man. And then my rise started, and it was both of us. But he was like the best player. He should have been in the NBA for sure. So cool. Doug Rand.
So shout out to Doug.
Shout out to Doug Rand.
Jamal, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. This has been another episode of The Outlet, brought to you by NBA Live 19.